I just witnessed the best thing backstage was Keke dancing to her music video behind the scenes.
I'm addicted to this choreo. So anytime the music kicks in, your girl goes to Wizark.
She's freaking good at it, too.
Aw, thanks, man.
So tell me about this new song, Enemiez. Tell me about the process of writing it, recording it. Yeah. Let's get deep.
Well, first of all, I want to tell you guys I'm so happy to be here and to be talking to you guys. This is my favorite thing to do, so I'm very excited. I'm feeding off y'all energy. But about Enemiez, Enemiez is a real story about a relationship that I was in with someone that I totally was into, that I was upset that they didn't feel the same way. So I was talking about it with Sam Waters, who's my A&R at Island Records, and just I was talking to him because, you know, when you're starting to get to know your A&R and they're finding songs for you, or you guys are creating songs together, they got to get to know you. So I was just opening up to him about, you know, this guy that I felt like I was in love with him, and I was like willing to do anything I could to get him to give me attention, even if that meant being mad or being angry. And it was a time in a period where I had to really find myself and discover myself to know what it was I wanted out of a relationship. But ultimately, that is how Enemiez was birthed.
And so what was the recording, you know, what was that like? Because it was an emotional song for you in a way.
And at the time that I recorded Enemiez, the first time I recorded it, it just sounded like a demo because I hadn't found my voice yet. I was still kind of in this place where I was like, well, I grew up in the church, and this track doesn't sound R&B, and how am I going to do this, and how am I going to make it me? So I was very afraid. I was still in the kind of the phase of where I was listening to what everybody else thought of me, and I wasn't really allowing myself to really become an artist by taking the influences that I've had throughout my life and the emotions that you know, the songs evoke out of me, and putting them on the track. I hadn't reached that point yet. And so after some time, you know, I was filming Scream Queens and came back to LA. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to tackle Enemiez again and see if I can. What happened was, I'll be honest with you, I got into an argument, not a real argument, but kind of a debate with one of my managers, and he was like, what are you afraid of? Like, you know what I mean? This was like the 5th or 6th time that he asked me what I was afraid of. And I didn't know, but I got so angry that the second time that I recorded Enemiez, I was like, I'm about to show this, I'm about to show them what I got. And then that's what really, the emotions came out at that point. And it sounds so typical, but, you know, I reached that point where it's like, it's all or nothing. You know, either I'm gonna be this artist, I'm gonna find it, I'm gonna find my voice and stop being afraid, or I'm gonna let the moment pass me by. And I mean, I started music when I was 5, started doing it professionally when I was 12, and at 22, I was not gonna let it pass me by again. So I went in that damn booth and made it do what it do.
Guys, I mean, can we just cheer for her right now?
Oh man, thank you.
I think what people love about you, your fans, is that you stand up for yourself and what you believe in, and you do what you want to do. Talk about that. How did you get to reach that point as, you know, a young person in the business?
You get tired. I mean, you really have to, you get into the point where you're saying, this is not what I want. And that's actually what I wanted to showcase in the Enemiez video. Because like the song is saying something vulnerable, and then the video, I wanted that to show the courage you have to take, you have to have in order to evoke change in your life. It's so easy sometimes to stick to what you know. You know, if you're in this deadbeat relationship, this codependent relationship, you know, every Friday y'all gonna go eat at this restaurant, and then on the weekends y'all maybe go see this movie, but ultimately you're not happy, even though you know what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen next, which is what you find comfort in. But if you ultimately know the outcome isn't what you want, then you have the ability to rewrite your story. And that's what I started to realize, is that, well, it's my life, and even though this is what I'm used to, I don't have to stay in this. And so I started to make changes, and it really started when I was probably like, I think I was 19, and what happened was I was supposed to do this show that I ended up not doing because I felt like I really wanted to put more of my energy into my talk show. But at that time, my talk show wasn't a real thing. So I really was making a choice on passion in my heart. And so I lost a lot of income. I had to move my family. And it started to break down all the things that I felt made me who I was. You know, I had been the financial breadwinner for my family since I was like 12. And so I started to, everything I thought was me, I started to lose. The job, the money, being the supporter. You know, I felt like I was becoming someone else, and so I said, you know what, these aren't the things that makes me me. What really makes me me? My love, my heart, you know, my ability to create. What it is that I really want. Am I happy in the relationship that I'm in right now? Let's be honest with ourselves. Is this what I really want? No, this isn't what I really want. So I got out of the relationship. And what happens is I feel like when you actually make those choices in your life, the universe, God, they follow you. And they allow you with the opportunities to lead you to that next step. And so as I said no to this and no to that, and even though I was walking in the unknown, God lifted me up and he helped me find my way.
She's 22 years old, guys. This isn't like...
You crazy, girl.
I mean, I'm sure.
But I'm not, and that's the thing about it, is that I'm not saying anything that don't anybody know. We all know this, but it's just so hard to actually do it. You know, every day it's a fight and a struggle. It's like the two people on your arms. Like when we was a kid and we watched the shows, you got the good devil that's like, or the good person that's like, you should do this and you should do that. And then you got the devil that's like, man, forget all this. So it's a constant battle. You know, it's a constant battle. And, at the end of the day, it's your choice.
Yeah. And, being a child star, and you had the Nickelodeon thing for a while.
Hey, True Jackson VP.
Yeah. What was that like to kind of, be the supporter of your family and have fame at such a young age and kind of grow into it rather than, we see some child stars.
Booming. Yeah, exactly. I enjoyed doing True Jackson VP, but it was a very difficult time for me in my life because, the dynamics change in your family when you're making money like that. My parents, I feel like they were trying so hard to make sure that I didn't become big-headed that they ended up kind of suffocating me in a way. And it wasn't intentional. As an adult, I was able to see it that way. But as a kid, I just felt like a prisoner in my own home. And I kind of became depressed, but I wasn't aware of it. And I don't regret that time. I don't regret the weird emotions I was feeling because they're what allowed me to dig deep enough to find a different outcome. You know what I mean? Like I started looking up quotes on this site called thinkexist.com because I feel so down and I try to figure out ways to get back up. And so I put in words that confused me or that brought up upon weird emotions. And so I put in the word stress. It says, stress is your inability to accept what is. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. What does this mean? And so then I looked up other quotes, and I started to look up quotes by Buddha and started to look up quotes by Mother Teresa. And one Mother Teresa quote really stuck out to me during that time, and it kind of helped me to see the light again. And what she said was, I found the paradox that if you love until it hurts, there can be no more love, no more hurt, only more love. And I was just like, that sounds interesting to me. And so I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go to True Jackson set today, and I'm going to compliment everybody on the crew. I'm going to just, say something nice to everyone I see and see what it makes me feel like. Man, that was the best experiment I ever did because I realized that in giving to others, I found fulfillment in that within myself. I started to see that my energy was lifting up and my spirit was lifting up just by bringing a smile to somebody else's face. And so then I started to do that everywhere I went.
And she still does it today because you lift up your fans for sure. And especially those young people who look up to you and see what you've accomplished. Now they say, I could do that too.
And that's the point. I have to say, I love the app Snapchat because it really allows, I feel, for my peers to see, you see I'm doing all this stuff, but what I'm hoping the message they're taking is that I can do this too, because that's the truth. I mean, really, what are you doing if not something for all of us? We're all meant here to help one another, to share, and to empower with our gifts. That's really what it's meant to do. And so that's what I love about Snapchat is that it allows me to do that right in the moment, and it's easily accessible to them, but it doesn't have the comment thing. So it's not, it's not a situation where you feel as if someone is diverting your evolution, but instead they can be a part of it if they wish.
I think that's what, social media has been such an influential thing for the young generation especially. Yeah. What's that like as a celebrity to kind of use social media in a way, but also to kind of step back from it because we know that there can be some hurtful stuff out there too? Well,
you got to do it just like if you weren't a celebrity, right? You use anything is good, but not in excess. So I think that's what our generation is learning right now, and we're having a difficult time because we can be a bit excessive with the internet and stuff like that. But I mean that's how it is with all things that are very new. But one thing I realize is that when I am excessive about it, it drives up my paranoia and my anxiety. And I learned that when I was doing Broadway, and I literally had to turn my phone off for about 3 weeks because I really wanted to be able to focus in the reality that's around me. Because sometimes you get so caught up in the internet world that you forget that there's a real world that you can actually affect that's around you. And that's just the one thing I always have to remind myself in whatever I do, and I try to bring balance to that. When I am, like I said, on the Snapchat, showing the fans at a certain time, it does go off, and that's my personal time to spend with my loved ones.
When you take a step back, you write songs like Enemiez.
Yes.
Don't ya?
That's a good callback.
I know. So you guys saw the video, of course. What'd you think? It's great.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
So tell me about, the premise behind the video. What was your goal with this video?
The goal was really to show, strength, to show growth and courage in somebody that, using me as a visual to be an example of that for young women, young black women, young children. I mean, anybody can relate to it. If you're not a girl, you can relate to the fact that I'm a young person. If you're not black, you can relate to the fact, anything you can relate to. I wanted to just make sure that people saw the transition from me having the solo moment in the beginning when I'm dancing and you're kind of seeing, I call them my shadow kids, the dancers. You kind of see the shadow kids kind of emerging, and then by the second time I do the choreo, you see I'm kind of with them. Those are all to signify the different personalities of strength that are within us all that we sometimes don't realize are there until we reach that breaking point where we feel like we've got to break through and really let somebody know or let ourselves know that, it's worth this. It's worth it for me to stand out and say no to this. And that's what was happening with my character in the video is that, she wants to fight for this love. She's been a part of this gang for a very long time. But the truth is, she doesn't want it anymore. She wants to be with this person, and this person happens to be from the rival gang. But at the end of the day, my life is my life. Yes, I got love for my gang members, but at the end of the day, I'm living for me. So if that means that I have to separate from you, and if I've got to do it with a kick-ass dance combo, that's what I'm going to do.
I wish I could do life with a kick-ass dance combo.
You can, girl. I put the tutorial up last night.
Oh. Guys, I'm going to try this and Snapchat it to Keke. So you did mention, too, that you kind of referenced West Side Story in this.
Absolutely. Absolutely it was. And I realized life takes you so many places, and sometimes you'll think, I want this now, and I want this. I thought as a child that I was a failure because I grew up singing in church, and it was my singing that even allowed me to be an actor, right? Like when I auditioned for Barbershop 2, the casting director made me sing, and my mom and I always had this little trick that we would do. So when I went into Disney Channel for the first time, my mom and I were outside of the room. She's like, okay, Keke, you need to sing for these people. So, do your little spiel, and then I'll be like, no, and then you can sing for these people. So this is what we would do all the time. I go in, and we'd be in the meetings, and we'd be talking, and I'm like, Mom, you think I can sing for them? And she'd be like, no, Keke, no. And I'm like, Mom, can I sing for you guys, please? Can I please? And I would like go in, and my mom would be like, no. And then all of a sudden, be a lion. Like, so when I actually approached the music industry, my confidence got broken because I was like, well, I always knew I could sing and I could bring joy to people with that. How come it doesn't translate, in the industry? That really, really bothered me. I'm sorry, I just got so sidetracked. What was your original question?
I got sidetracked now. I'm like, the West Side Story throwback. Yeah.
So I felt like, I'm like, dang.
I'm like, do you hear her pipes? I'm like, wah, wah.
I felt like a failure as a kid. And so when I decided, I remember telling my mother, I don't ever want to do music again. I'm going to just stick to the acting because the acting world likes me. That's exactly how I felt. But as I've grown up now, I realized, well, girl, in order to write the treatment for the video, you needed all those acting tools. You needed the knowledge of the way to display something like that, the type of message that it is you ultimately were going to display. And so it's just so awesome. I love that I came to that realization because I want to share that with my peers that, look, life will take you twist and turn in ways, but just trust that it's always going to bring you back to where it is you're supposed to be. You really have to trust that.
And your singing career has been amazing, as is your acting career.
Thank you.
And we saw both those come into play when you were on Grease Live.
Hey!
I mean, you killed it as Marty.
Oh, man,
you killed it. I'm sure everyone saw it, but I watched it like 4 times in a row.
Oh, my gosh. I had a blast with that. But it was very nerve-wracking because Grease is an iconic show, the musical and the movie. So we had to really come to terms with the fact that we weren't making either of those. We were making Grease live. And I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to see Hamilton on Broadway, but baby, Thomas Cale, the director, he is no joke. I mean, honestly, I saw Hamilton before we started production for Grease, and I was just like, this man is amazing. This man is the truth. And then when we got on set, he was the most calm and chill director I've ever worked with. And it almost made us nervous as a cast because he really allowed us to do our thing. But we felt like we were nervous because we felt like we would need all this direction because we wanted to, honor these characters while at the same time doing our own thing. And what he always said was, just trust yourselves. And meanwhile, while you guys are beating yourselves down, each and every one of you are coming and saying the same thing. So we didn't realize that we were all having the same separate conversations with our director, pretty much saying, I feel like I'm doing terrible and everybody else is doing so good. And he was like, trust yourselves. And so that bonded us close together to realize that we all having these same feelings. Let's relax, let's take a breather, and let's just do our thing.
I mean, some of those transitions in Grease Live were insane.
I don't know how
like
they did
the cameramen were doing the choreography too.
Yes.
Tell me about the rehearsal. You rehearsed for months and months, and then it's one night to get it right.
And that's the thing is, because when you were rehearsing for a Broadway show, you have that first night, and then you have every other night to make it better and to continue to add new nuances and etc. But with this show, we didn't have that. We had our, first couple of previews, which is literally just doing it in front of our family and friends, and then we had the live performance, and we all just wanted it to be so perfect because it was going to be only one time. And we did prepare. We had a great director that prepared us for this. We rehearsed for 3 months. Like a month and a half on Center Stage, which is like a dance studio. And then we also rehearsed on the Warner Brothers lot for a month until, January 31st, where we actually performed. And it was a blast. I mean, it was really awesome. It was almost like going to school every day, you know what I mean? And I never had the experience of doing drama in high school, so it was like that for me. Like, I felt like I was in high school with all these people, and it was just, we literally still have a group chat called Grease Peeps. And when I did the video, I showed them the very first one with like the first cut of it, and I was like, tell me y'all opinion and everything like that. And we always keep each other in touch. When Carly was out there doing her show, by the way, her album is great, Carly Rae Jepsen. She had her concert in LA. She invited us all, and then Mark Platt was like, we all need to go on a cruise together. I'm like, yes, cruise. Yes, Grease Peeps.
It's like, are you booking my ticket?
Right.
And you ended up having, you brought something so special to Marty. As we know, you had an amazing solo that isn't in the movie version.
Our version was definitely a mixture of both the musical and the movie. So Magic Changes, as well as Freddie My Love, were from the musical, but not in the movie. So they were very new to some people that only had saw the film. And I was excited to get to. That made me feel a little bit looser because I felt like, okay, well, I'm going to be adding, this is my whole new thing that I can add. So I didn't feel too much pressure with that song to stick to any, particular thing. I felt the room to kind of do my own thing with it.
I remember my mom was watching it. I was watching it with my mom, of course. And she's like, look, it's like a young Whitney. And I was like,
oh, what? Don't play with me like that. Don't play with me like that, y'all. Love me some Whitney.
I mean, you have such an amazing voice.
Oh, man, thank you.
It's
thank
incredible.
You
I mean, just you like belting out a note. I was like, oh, I'm sweating up here.
Oh, I brought you to church.
Yes, you did.
People in church sweating and stuff. My mom was, when I grew up in the church, right, my father's a deacon, and my mother was a choir director. And my mother, she used to sing this one song in church. I've had many friends before. They said they never let me down, but they've got problems of their own. So I turn to Jesus. Nobody like the Lord. And I remember when I came... Oh, thank you. When my mother would sing that song in church, I would be a little bitty kid, and even I would be like, yeah, yes, mama, yes, the Lord.
So good, so good.
It's a really cute laugh.
Aww.
I told you.
She's going to come over there later. See, I mean, guys, this is the best build ever. I'm just like freaking out. This is fun. You also have Scream Queens, which we've mentioned before.
Are you guys ready for Scream Queen season 2?
Yeah, you gotta now tell us a little bit of what we can expect. Are you back?
So everybody knows that I'm a blabbermouth, I guess, because they don't tell me anything. I literally don't even know if I'm gonna be in it again, but I feel good about it. I feel like I will. I just don't know if it's gonna be an anthology or a continuation. Because you guys, if you're familiar with Ryan's other work, with American Horror Stories, it's always a new show with the same characters. So I'm not sure if he's going to do that with Scream Queens or not, but we'll find out. I go to Paley Fest very soon, so I'm excited about that, and we'll find out all those details.
Yeah, speaking about Ryan Murphy, do you think you'd ever like cameo in one of them, American Horror Story?
I need to
or
play Angela
American
Bassett's
Crime?
daughter again and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so, him and Angela Bassett have been working together these last few years since American Horror Stories Coven. So I would love to do something again. I would love to play a mean character too. Because, Zayday was like so much fun. I love playing Zayday, but I would like to play something that, is dark, maybe.
We need like a nice character drama for Angela and you. That would be awesome.
Come on, wouldn't that be fun? We haven't done a film together since Akilah and the Bee.
Yeah, oh my God, great
That's,
movie.
thank you.
That was like your, yeah,
That was the
that was
moment.
awesome.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
all
was
of you have seen
very,
it. You have.
very happy to be able to do that film.
Yeah.
It's a very special movie. I got to do another. I feel like all the movies I've done, I'm grateful to have done and very special. But that in particular touched the community in a way that, I'm so grateful that I could be a part of. And another movie, I don't know if you guys have been able to check it out, but I feel the same way about this movie I did called Brotherly Love, because it really, you guys saw it? Awesome. Because, okay, Netflix, oh, thanks, my man. Okay. Brother. Oh, yes, the end of it. I'm not going to tell y'all the end, but the end, y'all got to watch it. But Brotherly Love had that same gut feeling. Like, when I read that script, I was like, the generation has to see this. Like, it doesn't matter where you are, who you are, you could feel this movie because it was just like, ooh, gut-wrenching.
Yeah. You clearly talk to the audience. I mean, and speaking,
Peak love the kids.
before we go to audience Q&A, I hear that you're going to the Kids' Choice Awards.
Yeah, okay, can I just tell, I will give y'all a little, I think I can give this tea away, and if I can't give this tea away, so sorry, Sam. Sam is my publicist. But I'm gonna be presenting with John Stamos. And tell me why, guys, this is the craziest thing. I called my mom last night. I'm like, yeah, Mom, so I think it's so cool, I'm gonna be presenting with Uncle Jesse. And then she goes, you presenting with John Stamos? I'm like, Mom, so when was you gonna tell me you was in love with John Stamos like this? I had no idea. She went off, so shout outs to Mom.
You got to bring Mom backstage. Mom's going to, actually, maybe you should keep Mom away from John
I know.
Stamos.
Mom's gonna be over there talking about something you gotta do. Cut it out.
So good. All right, I want to open it up to you guys. So let's have some questions.
Hi, Keke. Thanks
Hey.
for being here.
Oh, thank you.
I think you're so amazing. I've been following you for years. And we've already established how multi-talented you are in acting and singing. I was just wondering if you were going to pursue any one of those in particular in your future, or do you see yourself in both industries?
Definitely always gonna be all of them, but the last 9 years I've spent so much time on the acting that I do predict, I feel for myself that music's gonna be the focus, major focus for a little while, but acting is always a major part of my life, and definitely getting behind the camera is important to me as well, and creating vehicles for other people than just myself.
Who's next? Right here?
Right here. Hey, Keke.
Hey, girl.
As a fellow Virgo and a Philly girl.
Yes!
We were just talking about this backstage, astrology.
I'm into it.
I know you're big on it, but Brotherly Love was amazing. And being
Thank
from
you.
Philly, like, y'all got it right. Y'all got it right.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
My question to you is, with your new music, you've been doing it for a while. What kind of feel can fans get with the new Keke?
The new Keke, it will be, I think it's going to be totally different than what they could have expected, but at the same time, it's going to be something that makes sense to them, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? All the topics are either stories of mine or stories of my peers or people that things I've read. It's all about what we're going through in this transitional stage of being a young adult, finding ourselves, realizing that love is an action, or is it a sentiment to you? And is this relationship worth staying in, or is it better for me to leave? And addictions, social media, whatever it is, a lot of different subjects. And then the visuals, I think, is going to play a big part in my upcoming album. I'm a very visual person, so playing with different concepts and the videos and all of that type of stuff can be expected. But at the same time, it'll be different from what you guys expect. But looking at the overview of my career and the things that I've done, I think it'll make sense when you guys see it.
For sure. We have time for one more, guys.
Hi, Keke.
Hey, girl.
Thanks for being here. And I know you talked about some musicals, Hamilton, Grease Live, West Side Story, and I know you've been in Cinderella. And I was just wondering, what's your favorite musical and why?
My favorite musical, woo, that's so hard, girl. My favorite musical? Ugh. My favorite musical.
There's so many.
My
to
favorite
choose
musical is probably Cry Baby. Have y'all seen that? Cry Baby with Johnny Depp.
I was gonna say Johnny Depp was in that, wasn't he?
And you know why? Because I hated musicals. I know that's crazy. I always hated music because to me it just was like I didn't understand why people jumped into singing. I didn't understand that concept. I've grown to love it and appreciate it for what it is, but Cry Baby was the first musical that I actually loved, and it wasn't until years later that I realized it was a musical because I loved how they flowed into the songs. It didn't make me feel like it was abrupt. So I love Cry Baby. Whoa, 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 whoa. If you guys have seen that movie, you'll know that. I love that musical. So good.
So what was that like for you to do Grease live and kind of like channel that musical, like you were saying, the over-exaggerated?
I learned to have fun with it when I did Cinderella because I'm telling y'all, literally, it was such a crazy experience because I became classically trained after I did Broadway. But before then, like I said, I just grew up in the church singing. I never really had any major vocal lessons or anything like that. It wasn't until I did Cinderella where I really became nurtured in that type of in that type of environment. So it was always, I learned how to have fun and how to connect, not so much the notes, but the emotion of the song that brought out the perfect sound, if that makes sense. I had a very good vocal coach that's here in New York named Bruce Kolb, and he made everything very spiritual for me. He was like, you keep your body like this because you're staying grounded, and you're allowing the breath to flow through you, and just the way that it flows through life. And he made everything connected to a way that made sense to me, so it became easy for me to kind of have that exaggerated, fun without feeling like a fool because I just got into the mood of the character, you know what I mean?
Guys, she has so much good advice.
Aww.
And we do know that you have a little project coming up, speaking of advice. Maybe a little writing or?
Yes! So I wanted to write a book since I was a kid. Literally, I got a journal. I got a journal from Brandy when I was about 13 years old. And I remember literally there's a page in my journal where I'm like, I'm going to write a book one day. And it's going to be titled Behind These Actresses' Eyes. So dramatic, y'all. Too damn dramatic. I looked through that journal, and I'm just like, literally, I had a page in there that says, me and Brandon, we're doing good. I love him so much. That's the only reason why I keep going through this. Going through what at 14? It's so funny when you look back on the journals. So anyhow, I've wanted to write a book for a very long time. But, of course, at that time, I didn't really know what to say. I just was, thinking in my mind that one day I wanted to write a book. But it wasn't until I started doing Cinderella where I was like, I need another way to communicate to my peers. I want to get this message, or not even so much this message, but the life lessons I've learned. I want to get it to them, and I can't write it in 140 characters. I need to really write this book that I always wanted to write. But of course, it's not about the entertainment industry. It's more so about the things that I've gone through in my life and how I overcame them or found my way through them, and also how I learned to deal with my thoughts and let them pass me by and not feel like I have to react to every little thing that my mind tells me.
Guys, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to Keke's new album, as I'm sure you are. And we were so excited to have you. This has been so much fun. Thank you so
much. You're an
much.
awesome moderator. Thank you guys for all your time. God bless.